Archi Rathi, and welcome back to College to Corporate Insights Unplugged, Season 4, Episode 9. And we are delighted to have Mr. Swapnil Mhaske with us, who will share his valuable experience and insight on operation excellence in the era of instant delivery. Let's jump right into the exciting conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to College to Corporate Insights Unplugged. I'm Archi Rathi, your host for today's session, and currently we are in season 4. And today's episode focus on rapid evolution of retail and delivery ecosystem. In an era where waiting is a thing of past and convenience is ultimate currency, the backbone of this transformation is seamless and intelligent supply chain. To help us navigating this, we have a guest who bridged the gap between technology and business perfectly. He is a veteran in the industry with over 18 years of experience, with a background in computer engineering and an MBA in marketing and business analytics. He has spent years leading quality and solution architecture for companies like Mother Dairy, Big Basket, and AVP Business. He's seasoned expert in new product development, helping business scale and launch products in one which is world which is very competitive. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Swapnil. So, welcome to the show. It's an
Thank
absolute
you.
privilege to have you and hear from you.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful. With your permission, sir, can we start with the question part?
Sure. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Sir, as you have seen journey of e-commerce from standard delivery point to 10 minutes e-commerce. So from operational viewpoint, what is the biggest change required in warehouse to support such high speed turnarounds?
Okay, so let me just compare uh, what were the traditional ones and what has changed over the period, right? Once the quick commerce has come in. Traditional e-commerce warehouses are designed to store inventory, right? Quick commerce warehouses are designed to move inventory. So that is the primary difference between the both, right? One is to store, the other one is to just move the inventory forward, right? And that is the fundamental shift which has happened. In quick commerce, the warehouse behaves more like a live operating system, inventory placement, or be it picking routes, or be it rider availability, or be it demand signals, which are constantly updating in real time, right? So it's a ever changing real time scenario in quick commerce these days. You're no longer optimizing for maximum space utilization like what we used to do earlier in the traditional ways of operating a warehouse. You are now optimizing for seconds saved per order. Like if there is an order which is placed, and how much time do you save for that order to process it inside the warehouse, is that what we are right now evolving into, right? In practical terms, this means smaller hyperlocal dark stores, high velocities SKUs placed closest to the picker, continuously reslotting based on the demand patterns, and making sure that the systems are dynamically decides where an item is placed inside the warehouse is something which we are evolving into, right? There's also a critical location shift. Like traditional e-commerce warehouses were typically built outside the city, in the outskirts of the city, and that was primarily to maximize square footage at the lowest possible cost. Right, that was the primary agenda of a warehouse. Right, it would be outside the city. But now, and the primary role was to just store the stock. But in quick commerce, dark stores must be located as close as the customers. Like they are placed so close to the customers that the proximity of that warehouse or the dark store is important. So proximity isn't so earlier, while we could have a warehouse outside the city, now we want to be as close as possible to the customer. So that has changed. Uh, if I have to summarize it simply, e-commerce warehouses are built for efficiency, Quick commerce warehouses are built for responsiveness. So the moment the orders are kicked in, we want to process it and get it delivered as soon as possible. So it's more responsive. So that is the mindset shift which has happened, and in a very hard way. So yes, that is the primary difference now.
Okay, sir. So, as we saw, you have a lot of experience in new product development. So,
Correct.
when a giant decide to launch a new product line, so how do they use existing customer database to identify which products will actually succeed, or a part of using existing data, how they generate data?
Okay. So I would just put it in the form where how do we take decisions of maybe having a new product in the market, right? That is how maybe I will answer it in a slightly different way. Of course, there is a data which is involved, but I'll give you few instances or the ways where an FMCG company operates. Like, so when you say a giant, I am understanding you mean a big FMCG company who takes a decision to launch a new product, right? So I'll just take you through how the mindset works. So when an FMCG company evaluates a new product or a variant, the starting point is rarely creativity. It's not about, I want a particular flavor. That is something which is a creative decision. No, it usually begins with identifying a gap. The first thing what they do is to identify a SQ gap, which we generally call as an SQ gap analysis, where a company continuously audits their existing portfolio, and it asks some uncomfortable questions. To be very frank, uh, questions like: is the portfolio complete across formats, across price points, or usage occasions like rituals? So, because I was handling new product development for Mother Dairy back in the day, the classic example would be to understand whether, say, a choco bar at a price point of 20 rupees is sufficient for the portfolio, or should we have a choco bar with a price point of 10 rupees now to cater to a mass population, or to cater to a mass target group, or do we incorporate some other kind of a choco bar which will help a customer involve themselves into a ritual of having it in a particular way. So that is something which is a gap which we try to identify while taking a decision at an SKU level. Or maybe are there any white spaces where competitors are winning? So, so back in the day, there was a very wonderful sorbet stick which Creambill had, which was called as Sachmuch Aam, and it was creating a category for itself. People were buying it, and it was a very heavy pulp, high concentrated, mango kind of a candy. That was a gap, right? And hence Mother Dairy also launched a similar product to identify, to basically bridge that gap of what competition has launched as a category, which we called as an ekdam arm. Correct. So that is something which, that is the decision which we take when we do the competition benchmarking as well. Or maybe is there a flavor variant or a pack size that the category leader has but we don't? Correct. So this isn't about copying blindly. To be very frank, it is not. We pick a particular variant and we say, okay, let's copy it directly from the competitor. It's about understanding whether the brand is underserving a consumer need, whether there is a bigger market than the competition is. Maybe it might fall short of catering to that entire population. Then there is a gap. Or maybe if a competitor's SKU is growing faster, or in a commanding higher, or maybe it is commanding higher repeat rates, that's when we take a decision. The second aspect when we look at this is the competition is gap analysis or an SKU gap analysis. The second is maybe price or MRP upgrade opportunity is there. So we already have a portfolio and we say that, okay, the consumer is now stagnated. We want to upgrade that particular consumer to a higher purchase power, or to a higher brand perception, right? So many NPD decisions are driven not by volume, but by value growth. It's not by volume, but value. The question FMCG companies generally ask is our consumer willing to pay more for this brand? If the answer is yes, then we make certain changes to launch a particular brand or a product, right? So if the data suggests strong brand trust or loyalty, or a new product becomes a way to move consumers up the price ladder, then we take a decision to move it. So, classic example is McDonald's introducing premium burgers, right? Or Cadbury introducing silk as a new category. It's an upgrade for a customer from their basic offerings to a higher value, right? So that is the second way we take a decision of launching a new brand or a product. And the third thing is validated through customer research. There is a lot of consumer research which goes into. So before anything is scaled or companies invest heavily in understanding the consumer voice, we do sample testing or taste uh, trials, right? Or maybe we go to focus group discussions, we sit them down, a group of consumers, we ask them relevant questions, we get feedback from them, and then we understand what are the emotional triggers to for them to understand the brand, or if there is a gap in the entire portfolio to be launched. That is where we these are the ways where we basically tap into the gap and then understand whether we should have a new product launched or not. Now the things have changed. Now what has happened is, earlier we used to go at the point of purchase, which we call as POPs, right? We go to the point of purchase, which are generally the modern trade outlets or the retail outlets. We talk to the consumers one on one, or we interact with the retailer or a kirana shop owner and ask them questions whether there is a gap in the market or not, right? The gap can be about the variant, about the flavor, about the MRP, or whatsoever. But now, because of the social media penetration, we can basically scrape into the comments. We can check the feedback given by our own consumers on our brand. That's how we scrape the data and understand, okay, there is a gap in the market. So things have changed to more space social media kind of a scraping than the earlier methods of going one on one and talking to the consumer. This is the evolution which has happened in the data point of view. So it is more methodical than just sitting on the data and crunching it down when it comes to new
Okay,
product development.
really insightful, sir. So, let's come to the next one. As you're having background in computer engineering, so how it helped you in solving real world supply chain problems such as managing high perishability goods of, or
Mhm.
I can say high perishability of dairies or fresh products.
Okay. Very interesting question though. So, um, how do I put it? So my background in computer engineering didn't turn me into a coder as such, or a coder in supply chain. I would say it changed how I think about the problems. So computer engineering or engineering per se helps me solve a particular problem. I am more solution oriented now. Rather than using the technicalities of it, I understand the basic fundamentals of what engineering is firstly to identify a problem, to find a solution to it, and build around it. Correct? That's how basically the engineering works. In
Yes.
perishable categories, which you mentioned, like dairy or fresh produce, which is fruits and vegetables or things like that, the biggest challenge isn't scale, it's uncertainty, right? Because it is perishables, the uncertain nature of things is what uh, uh, determine or pushes you hard to take solutions very seriously, or solution mindset very seriously. So demand fluctuates daily, right? Shelf life is very limited, and the small forecasting errors can quickly turn into waste or stockouts. Correct. So engineering taught me to break these messy real world problems into systems with inputs or outputs, or maybe working around the constraints. Correct. So for example, instead of asking how do we sell more milk, the question primarily becomes what are the demand signals, what's the decay curve of the product, or where are the decision points where intervention actually helps. So this mindset helps convert intuition into repeatable logic. So whether it's defining reorder thresholds, or prioritizing FIFO discipline. FIFO is basically first in, first out kind of a discipline. Or deciding when to pull inventory forward versus liquidating it. So all these decisions are which we take and which the engineering helps me to do it, right? So you are essentially designing algorithm, just not always on a screen. It is on the
Hmm.
real time, on the job, things like that. So another big advantage is being comfortable with data imperfections. So you would not always find the same set of data, same set of trends. The market keeps on evolving. The consumer purchase patterns or consumer consumption patterns change. So in the real world, especially with perishables, data is never clean. So engineering trains you to work with, say, noisy signals, or maybe build buffers around it, or design uh, what you say contingencies around it. So that's critical when you are managing fresh produce, or where yesterday's weather can impact maybe tomorrow's demand or things like that. So yes, it's also helped me collaborate better. I understand tech better than others. Those all things which engineering teaches you. So in very simple terms, computer engineering didn't teach me how to write codes for supply chain. To not go very technical about it, but it taught me how to think in systems, how to structure my thoughts towards solving a particular problem. Uh, and yes, perishables are all about system thinking, and that thinking is what matters through engineering, which I've learned. So I think that's what I think I have answered you in the best
Yes,
possible way.
yes. Mhm. So in traditional retail, testing a new product takes months. So in world of e-commerce and quick commerce, has the feedback loop for new product changed, or can we fail fast or and iterate more quickly now?
Mm, so I'm just thinking about understanding whether, so if I get your question right, you are asking maybe if there is a system where we understand whether the product is failing or doing good, and we having that loop where we can
Huh.
iterate or reiterate things to get it better. Correct? That's what you are asking, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
So in traditional retail, feedback is slow, like because the product's journey is slow. So you
Mhm.
launch a product, you wait for secondary sales to happen, you wait for offtake to happen through the shelf, right? Or wait for the retailer to give us that feedback, and only then you know what's working for you. That cycle can easily take months, right? In the traditional form. In e-commerce or say quick commerce, the feedback loop has compressed. So from months to go through that process, it has now diminished into say weeks or days, sometimes even hours. Because you get primarily three things, right? One, real-time consumer signals, because consumer is interacting in a very quicker way at scale. And because in quick commerce you operate at scale, it's very real time, right? The second is you immediately get post purchase feedback and that too at scale. The purchase is made, immediately the feedback is looped in, correct? The people are immediately onto it. And the third thing is primarily on the company side, where you have better ecosystem now to do experimentation. So these are, I think, the three primary things. So the first thing, when you say that the what did I say? The consumer is at real time, correct? You can see what people search, what they click, what they add to cart as well, right?
Mhm.
And what they drop. So once the product is added, whether it is then dropped again, correct? So even before repeat kicks in, this tells you whether the proposition is landing well, or the variant is landing well, or the pack size, the price, the claims, everything is right what the customer wants. So that is one, which is very real time. The second is once the purchase is made, through your ratings, through reviews, through maybe complaints, or when they return an item, the reasons which they punch in, and if a ticket is raised when a customer support is approached. All these things tell you what is broken, whether it is the taste of a product, whether it is the packaging, whether it is the just the leakage of the product, or maybe the product is not following a consistent quality path. all those things are understood once the customer interacts with us through their feedback. Correct. And in a perishable category, even small packaging issues show up fast. So if you say, uh, very technical, I'll not get into it, but yes, people interact with us through giving us feedback. So that is the second thing. And the third thing is what we can now do is, you can pilot in a few pin codes. So because of quick commerce now, because there are dark stores all across, and being a person is about to launch a new product, the company knows the target group, the age group of a consumer which is target, and or the pockets in the inside the city where you should try your product first. And you can just pick up, pinpoint, ask the retailer or
Everyone.
get a
Into
help
season
of that
4,
quick commerce
episode 8 of
player
Corporate
to launch your
Insights
item in that
Unplugged.
particular
We
dark
hope you
store and
found this
try your
deep dive
product first.
into
So it has
architecture,
become more
innovation strategy, and
personalized and
leadership
more
both
easy
insightful and
when quick
inspiring.
commerce has come in.
Do
So
remember
even
to
that has
subscribe
helped.
to our
Correct.
podcast on a preferred
Um,
platform so you
so
never miss
yes,
an
the
episode. We
feedback
look
loop has
forward to
become
bringing you
much
more
more visible
conversation
now,
with industry leaders
and
who
much more
help you
real
bridge the
time
gap
these
between
days.
college learning
And
and corporate realities.
yes, there are
Until
so
then,
many more and
wishing
more
you
brands which are launching throughout the day because of the whole ecosystem which has been created to cater to any kind of personalizations or the ease of launching a new brand. So yes, the loops are now extremely streamlined, to answer your question.
So you have led quality and solution architecture. So how do you ensure that the fast delivery do not lead to bad quality, especially when you are handling fragile or temperature sensitive goods?
Okay. No, but see, in a very layman term, if it is a perishable item or a temperature sensitive, if what you're saying, or a temperature abusive good, if it is a fast delivery, it should actually help you out. Because if it's a fast delivery, you're reaching from point A to point B very quickly, where you are keeping very less time in the transit. Which means you are actually sending out a best quality produce if it's a fast delivery. So fast delivery and good quality don't compete. So generally, um, it is the bad systems or processes which determine whether the product quality is good or not when it gets delivered to the customers. I'll help you with that. So if you design, say, quality into a workflow, uh, and as I said, the speed actually protects quality because the product spends less time in the what we call as a danger zone, which is the transit period, right? So from a quality and solution architecture lens, I look at it in three layers. So one, which is the prevention layer, which is the beginning of the things. Then it is the detection, whether you are able to identify the problems quickly, and accountability, like where you exactly pinpointedly tell where the problem has happened in terms of your quality of the product, right? So I'll take you to the first thing, which is the prevention. So the designing of the process, uh, that or the processes is such a way that we don't let any kind of defects hamper the quality of the service. So suppose talking about having tight inbound checks, inbound as in when we receive the stock from the suppliers, we have a check there as well. We have a standard of what the quality should be for a produce, and we make sure that when the inbound happens, the quality is at par, right? Especially in the categories like dairy or eggs or fruits and vegetables. Second, we have clear temperature SOPs as well across the receiving or storing, or even at a stage where it gets picked from the cold room and we hand it over to the delivery person. Because most of the damage happens during the handshakes or while picking the stock from the racks or from the cold room. So what I'm saying is, if your processes are right, if you accommodate all these use cases where you believe the damages or the bad quality can happen for a product, and you incorporate that in your process and your systems, the prevention is there. So we take care of that, right? So fast delivery, when you say fast delivery, it is so many things in between, right? So I hope you guys understand the supply chain to it also. So when we say we deliver in a very short duration, it actually starts from the dark stores where we pick the stock. In fact, we go beyond that also. Before that also, when we receive the stock from the suppliers, and we receive it with the good checks with SOPs. Then we stock it at the dark store with proper SOPs. When a picker is assigned to a delivery, he knows from where to pick, how to pick it, how to put it in a bag, and how to give it to the delivery person. The delivery person also knows how to keep it inside his bag, travel, and hand it over to the consumer. So it all we join the dots through the process intervention. So we make sure that the processes are right, and hence you say the fast delivery, but through the process systems, right? The second thing is uh, you you catch things early. You catch issues early with real time signals. So speed can hide problems unless you build quality sensors into the flow, right? Uh, so that is detection. The last thing is if a specific SKU has repeated complaints. So if we believe we are getting repeated complaints on say beans, and if it's a monsoon season, so there is a moisture in the whole uh, environment. The stock which comes from the farmer to our warehouses, from warehouses to our dark store, it goes through a transportation. The transportation, whether it is extremely heated, how do we stock it, all those things matter when it comes to understanding if the quality of the product is repeated. So then we go back, we do the quality checks, we identify problems, and we fix it, right? So it is just the accountability of things. So we keep getting feedback, we understand what kind of complaints we are getting repeatedly, we try to fix it, right? So to answer why am I telling you all this is because when we say fast delivery, it is not just those 10 minutes or 5 minutes where everything happens. There is a lot which goes on beyond that, which makes sure that the quality of the produce is maintained when we deliver it to the consumer. Got it. So the
Okay.
supply chain is holistic. It is not just in that 10 minutes. There is a lot which goes into it.
Actually, this will give our viewers a clear path. Now
Yeah.
it's time for
So,
quick rapid fire round. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Oh, yeah. No, no. So just to quickly tell you how supply chain works. So suppose I'll only take 2 minutes, and this is the best way I can explain you what I'm trying to say. So suppose if a very simple situation where say a consumer places an order of say bananas. Okay.
Hmm.
So the whole supply chain happens is suppose if it is 8:30 p.m. today, the customer has placed an order of banana. That banana has traveled a day before. A farmer has actually harvested banana in maybe Jalgaon district in Maharashtra. He has packed it, he has put it in his van, he has sent it to our collection center. A collection center, there is a person who has graded it as per our requirement, who has done the quality checks, he has discarded stocks, he has put the entire batch into his van. The van travels all the way to Mumbai into a warehouse where a person sitting inside the warehouse receives the stocks, he grades it again, he does the quality checks again. He puts it into a cold room or wherever it is most secured. Then that stock is again picked, put it into a van, sent to a respective dark store, where again a person in the dark store again collects it, grades it again, checks the quality again, puts it into their own cold room, and waits until the customer puts an order. The customer puts an order at 8:30. A picker is assigned. Picker goes inside the dark store, identifies where the product lies, identifies the best possible product from that rack, puts in the bag, gives it to the rider. Rider checks it whether it is good, whether the quantity is correct, everything is fine. He travels, gives it to the consumer. Consumer receives it and then places a feedback or a complaint saying maybe the product is wrong. Now we identify what happened. We has gone through all the checks. Why the product must be wrong, or maybe the product is bad in quality. We ask the customer what happened. The customer might say it is overripe, or maybe it is underripe, it is raw, or maybe the customer is just putting a false complaint. So if the complaint is valid, then okay, we go back and check the whole supply chain again. But if the customer is putting a false complaint, if he is a nuisance, then the whole supply chain back one day, 24 hours, since 24 hours, goes for a toss when the customer is fake. So you get it. So it is not just
Hmm.
the 10 minute which determines the quality of
Ah,
the product. There is so much into it.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
So for rapid fire round, I'll ask you a question, and that question will have particularly 4 to 5 options. So, what is the most critical factor for new product to survive in crowded e-commerce market? So, option can be extremely low price, unique packaging and unboxing experience, or solving a specific hyper local customer pain point, or massive celebrity endorsement.
No, it is definitely identifying the need of a customer. It is always like that. The third option.
Okay,
Or to yeah, to curate a
solving a
to curate a product as per the fitment of a customer. That's the only thing which matters.
Okay, sir. So when choosing a location for dark store, or we can say local hub, what is the most priority thing, like for low cost, like low real estate cost, or proximity to high density residential area, or
It is
easy
always
option?
proximity. I don't have to also check the other options, but
Yeah, option.
it always has to be as close as possible to the customer.
Okay, sir. Okay, which area of supply chain is most underrated but crucial for profitability? Like last mile delivery speed, reverse logistic, inventory accuracy in warehousing, or relationship with small scale vendors.
Can you repeat the question, please?
So, sure, sure. Which area of supply chain is most
Mhm.
underrated but crucial for profitability?
Okay.
Last mile delivery speed, reverse logistic, inventory accuracy in warehouse, or relationship with small scale vendors.
No, actually, what I would say is, see, the fourth option is still okay, but I think the most overrated is not any of these four things. It is more to do with,
Underrated.
and sorry, underrated. It is not that. It is more, the most underrated is having the right scale for a
Mhm.
business. So
So,
you just have to make sure that the scale is there. Once the scale is
mhm.
there, none of these four options are relevant.
Okay.
So the most underrated thing is, I think, is to get to the scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for MBA student looking to enter into a product management or operation role, which skill is non-negotiable? That means a student should hold that. Advanced code and development, data interpretation and storytelling, traditional sales and distribution knowledge, or expert level financial accounting.
I think it is sales and distribution because that's how I have grown into becoming a professional who I am right now. As an MBA professional, I think be it a person who is into a specialization of even HR or finance or anything or even operations, I think sales is something which is a must. So a person having a good sales acumen or a distribution acumen will always go a long way in every aspect.
Mhm. So now to wrap up the things, what are the final recommendation or advice for students who have entered the new demand field like supply chain or product development? And one more question, what is one mindset shift they need when they move from college to corporate?
Oh, okay. And I don't know, somehow I keep getting these questions for many such sessions. So I'll tell you. one very important thing, one very good thing about the ones who are now going to pass out from, say, colleges and going to enter the corporate world is that the access which you guys have towards data or information, it can be through portals like ChatGPT or maybe everyone incorporating AI and everything. The information flow which is there is immense, right? So you guys are aware. So one thing is for sure that you are more aware than how much we were back in the day, uh, and you are just a click away from any information you want, any research you want to do. It's readily available. So you guys are smart. The only thing what I think lags is for you guys to get your hands dirty. There is always, I've seen who the freshers who have gone into a corporate world miss out on many big things in their career just because they are reluctant to go on the field. And on the field, I'm not saying from the sales point of view, from any point of view. It can be supply chain, it can be even sales, supply chain, or everything where you go on the field and understand things at the ground level. Why it is important is because when you are on the field, the things which you learn on the field makes your judgment right, your intuitions right, your the way you take decisions. Well, when you grow in the career, so suppose if you have slogged very hard in the first 2 years of your corporate life, and then you to keep climbing the ladder and you are 10 years in the experience, the judgments which you will take then are already always linked to the slogging which you have done on the ground in the initial first 2 years, right? So that I think should not be skipped. That is a very fundamental step which should not be missed by anyone. And unfortunately, I have not I have seen many freshers coming out of college entering the corporate world hesitant to do that. So please don't do that. Please go on the in the field for initial 2 years. Get your hands dirty, learn everything from scratch. It will only make your decision making perfect in a long
Okay.
run. Yeah,
Okay.
so
Thank you
this
so
is
much,
something
sir.
which I keep telling everyone.
This
Yeah,
has been incredibly insightful conversation, sir.
yeah.
Thank you to simplify how we should look at complex world of logistic and product innovation. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and expertise with us today. And we
Thank you so
hope
much.
our audience found this deep dive into supply chain strategy and new product development as insightful as we did.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's a
Thank you so much for tuning into episode 9. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. You can also catch up on Spotify and follow us on social media for more insightful content. We look forward to have you with us in episode 10.